Hello! Today in this episode, we're gonna learn. Today in this episode, we're gonna learn about PI. First, I'm gonna draw the structure of PI. Okay, now I'm gonna label the diagram. So the eye has three major layers: the sclera, the choroid, and the retina. This is the sclera, is the outermost layer. Then is the choroid and the retina. So the eye is divided into two segments by these layers and the lens. So this is the lens. The small first segment contains a transparent liquid called the aqueous humor. The second segment contains a comparatively more concentrated liquid called the vitreous humor. The innermost layer, the retina, is full of photosensitive receptors to receive light. The light rays get focused onto a point called the fovea, which is found along the retina. There are two kinds of receptors in the retina, cones and rods. Cones are the kind of receptors that function in bright light and give us colored vision. Cones give us colored vision. And rods, they function in dim light and give us a black and white vision. So, this light energy generates tiny electric impulses that run along the retina and through the optic nerve to the brain. This is the optic nerve. And in a fraction of seconds, the signals are interpreted into an image by the brain, and there is this point where all the nerves meet at the start of the optic nerve, which has no receptors and is called as the blind spot. The second layer, the choroid, is filled with blood capillaries. The choroid continues to the front of the eye to become the iris. which gives us the color to the eye and is visible to us from outside. The iris contains longitudinal and circular muscles which contract and relax alternatively to increase and decrease the size of the pupil according to the brightness in the surroundings. The light rays are focused onto the retina by the lens, and the lens is held in place by suspensory ligaments, which are supported by the ciliary muscles. These are the suspensory ligaments. These are the ciliary muscles. And these ciliary muscles are right next to the iris. When seen from front, the part in the center of the ring of the iris is dark, and that's called the pupil. The third layer is the sclera. It's white and visible from outside, and as it moves to the front, the sclera becomes the cornea, which is a transparent layer, and the area covered by the cornea is visible, which is the iris and the pupil. In the sides of the cornea, muscles hold the eyeball in place. This is one of the muscles. And also, over the cornea is a layer called the conjunctiva. Now, we're going to do the accommodation of the eye. The ability of the lens to change its shape and focus on objects at different distances is called the accommodation of the eye. So there's two kind of things. It's near vision and far vision, and we will explore both. First, we'll do the near vision. Here, I'm not going to draw the whole eye. I'm just going to draw like this. So, the ciliary muscle, and that's suspensory ligament. This is the cornea, and this would be our object. I'll just label these. So the light rays that come from an object that's near are white and require a lot of refraction. Most of it is done by the cornea, but still the lens has a lot to do. So it becomes thick so that the light can be refracted on the fovea. The red dot is the fovea. And in order to do this, the ciliary muscles contract. And the suspensory ligaments do just the opposite of what the ciliary muscles do. So in this case, the suspensory ligaments will relax. Okay, now we'll move on to far vision. These are the ciliary muscles, the suspensory ligaments, the ciliary muscles, and the lens. And these are the suspensory ligaments. That's the fovea, the tiny dot there. This again is the cornea. And this is the object that's far away. So, the light rays that come from an object that's far are almost parallel and don't require much refraction. As the cornea refracts a lot, the lens doesn't have to be thick to be able to refract the light rays onto the fovea. So, the lens is stretched and it becomes thin so that it doesn't refract the light much. To do this, the ciliary muscles in this case, ciliary muscles will relax, and as the suspensory ligaments do just the opposite, the suspensory ligaments will contract, pulling the ends of the lens, making it thin and flat. Now we'll move on to pupil reflex. That is how the eye reacts to different brightness of light. First is dim light. So I'm just drawing an outer view of the eye so we can observe the pupil. That's the pupil. It's dilated in dim light to allow more light to enter. If more light enters, the image can be more clear. So these are radial muscles. These are circular muscles. The radial muscles and circular muscles act like the suspensory ligaments and ciliary muscles. They're opposite. And in this case, the radial muscle will contract, pulling the ends of the iris inside to make the pupil larger. And as the circular muscles are opposite, the circular muscles will relax. Now moving on to the second, it is bright light. In bright light, the pupil will become really small, so that not much light can enter the eye. Because if a lot of bright light enters the eye, it can destroy the retina. So again, we have radial muscle and circular muscle. And in this case, the opposite of dim light happens. The circular muscles will contract, constricting the pupil and making it smaller. And the radial muscles, doing the opposite thing, will relax.